what we do internally to shift ourselves is going to impact the entire world. So when people wonder, like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? People think that it's a job, it's a career, you're supposed to write a book, you're supposed to heal the world. And really, you're not. Your purpose is to shed all the layers that are not you and to really become you. Because when everybody does that, everything changes.
Hi, everyone. I am Julie Edmonds, your host of Channeled, tapping into the wisdom of your soul. Welcome back to Channeled, part 2 of my conversation with Mariel Alvarado, the Business Alchemist. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, go back and soak that in, because today we're going even deeper. We're talking about divine feminine enlightenment and how to tap into your highest self, and some great practical practices that you can use daily to help you align with your deepest divine purpose. So let's let the magic begin. So let's go back into, you were saying we can't just meditate. A lot of people just think, well, I'm meditating and I'm doing this stuff and things aren't showing up. We have to get it done. But there was always that piece where there's a cringe to that, where people say, well, what about this? I have to manifest and then I have to do all this work. I don't want to do all this work. And what I found, when you do go into those mindfulness practices and you start removing the things that are blocking and stopping you, then you have to do the work. It's not that you have to do the work. You get to do this work because suddenly you have this motivation, this passion, this desire. These people start showing up to guide you and help you on that, what you thought originally was this giant mountain. Like for me, I wanted to write this book, but I picked it up, I wrote it, I put it down, I picked it up, wrote it for years and years and years and years. But when I started, and it's, we say meditation, I'm doing these crazy, inward guidance, I have processes too, and the hypnotherapy and scraping. Suddenly, to have that vessel of having to write this book it wasn't a chore. It wasn't oh my God, I'm blocked, I don't know how to, it just flowed. It's like the most joyous, most beautiful process. I'm so excited. People showed up from nowhere. When we say nowhere, it's almost like a portal showed up and someone just stepped in, a soul just dropped down into my existence. All right, Julie, here's the pin, let's go. And then, whoa, I have a manuscript. Where did that come from in 8 months,
Totally, Julie. That's exactly what happens when you start creating from your soul and from something from your higher self, you get to do the work. I feel the same way. Like
I know you do. So it's not like I have to do it. I have to do work. Don't just be like, no, you want to. Like you want to. You're going to want to.
Totally. I pinch myself all the time. I'm like, for example, right now we're working on I'm working on this new offer, and it's called Message Like Magic, because I love creating messaging and writing, and the finding. We always joke inside of my mastermind that I see products and dead people, digital products and dead people. I don't see dead people, but I love taking someone and seeing like their purpose and what they're here to do in the world, and then saying, oh, we can create this product and this offer and this course and that, and the retreat goes over there. Like I see that, right? And so part of that is like finding the words to present that to the right people, to their soulmate clients. So I'm creating this offer, and it's a lot of work, but it's so fun. Like I love doing it because I do it from the place of I don't have to do it. It's not a chore. It's like I just get so excited about, and I start visualizing and seeing how it's going to benefit all these people. And it just becomes like so much joy to to write the content, to create the things that are going
Right. So
to
it's not like removing the energy, it's giving you the energy. You're getting
giving.
filled up and excited.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that that it's fun all the time. I definitely have the limits of like, okay, I'm exhausted now. Like I need to go picnic the
It's different. That's just learning your boundaries, right?
learning your boundaries and also learning being very self-conscious of your energy, right? So I can when I step into my office, I do rituals. I prepare my space, I burn sage, I make sure um that I'm stimulating my five senses, like, and then I can feel the limit of like, okay,
Mm.
my brain is buzzing. I need to stop now. And so I stop. And so I either do more ritual and reset my energy, or I go and do something else, right? But so yeah, so it's definitely important to know that, and to always know that we have a body for a reason. It's not just to meditate and be into our spirit and be, there is such a thing as being overly spiritual. But that's also kind of like, there are some traditions that, God bless them. There are monks meditating in the Himalayas, and they are doing something, and that's their path.
They were called
But,
to do that.
and they were called to do that. But for the Western world, for the most part, like, we are here to do the things of spirit. Like, it's the idea that descends, but an idea is easy to have. Who can actually implement it? And how much faith do you have to have in order to implement it and take the steps? And how much strength and devotion do you have to gain, and passion? Like, how are you using all of these um beautiful gifts and talents and like inspirations? Well, that's all great to receive that in meditation, but how are we using our humanity to create something with that, and do it in service to others?
That is so beautiful. I was trying to look it up. I think it was the Dalai Lama that said, and it was a quote attributed to the Dalai Lama that emphasized the potential of Western women to play a significant role in saving the world,
I've heard that. That gives me chills.
particularly through leadership.
Yeah.
And I can't find the exact quote, but I think that says it all.
Yeah. I love that. It's so good.
I want to ask you a question, or maybe you could speak to this too. So earlier you were talking about tapping into Emmanuel, and then a new guide showed up. I worked for years. What's that?
Oh, I said then Emmanuel showed up in my real
Oh,
world.
right, right, right. Oh, yeah. Maybe he transformed into this next, this person. But I had a beautiful woman that I worked with, a mentor, Christine Lang, who's just, very connected to source, an energy healer, intuitive, medical intuitive, and she's writing this wonderful book, Your Energy Matters. And I had the opportunity to work with her for years, and one thing she always taught was, when we're tapping in, because we are so intuitive, our antennas are out all over the place, especially for newer people too. You're getting in all this information, and it could just be a spirit that's just saying, play this financial blah, blah, blah. But it's not something that you need to hear. But people are so excited, like all of these energies are so excited to come in. Oh, you're tapping into this. Talk to me, talk to me. And, I've learned to like brush out everything and anything except my highest. And I don't say my higher, my highest, because higher could be a second higher, highest power, and block everything else out to make sure that it's the one word, the one moment, the one guide. Or maybe there's two or three guides, but at the end of the day, the highest. Do you have a practice to make sure that you are tapping into that one, that highest, that knowing?
Well, I love that you just said that, because yeah, our eyes are very limited, and what we see is very limited. But there are all kinds of energy beings around us, and just energy.
Don't I have it?
So this is one of the reasons that I don't think I did too much even like before. Um, with mediums, I'm very careful because you never know where the information is coming from.
Right.
Um, but someone that is tapped into to their source, someone that is tapped in, we all have guides. So we in my spiritual tradition and my lineage, we are taught about our guides, and these guides are here to make sure that you get to your destiny points, right?
That's why they're called guides.
Yeah, they're guides. And there's also your higher self, and you also have a guardian angel. So there's all these forces around you. And my practice is it's kind of boring actually. Because I do my rituals in the morning and I have a series of rituals. When I say rituals, they're like a series of embodied prayers almost. Um, and then I meditate. And the reason, and I practice now two different kinds of meditations, but one of them is very similar to what I used to do before, like a very active meditation. And then the other one, I sit myself on my meditation mat and I follow my breath. And it's kind of boring, I had a ton of resistance to doing that when I first started doing that because the purpose of that is to learn to be the boss of my mind, of my monkey mind. Like, how can I learn to consciously bring my mind to a certain level, like the alpha state or the theta state, because we have a monkey mind, and especially here in the West, right? Like we're all over the place. We wake up in the middle in the morning, and the first thing we do is check our phone, and then it starts going. So, but if we can learn to be the CEO of our mind chatter and learn to bring it down and learn to focus and learn to direct that focus. And for me, it's really important to do that because I'm an energy heal. I do a lot of energy healing now as well. And so you become a stronger vessel when you are in charge of your mind. When I don't want to say in charge of your mind, but the boss of your
It's like getting the right advice, it's
mind.
like, where do I get the right advice from? I need to choose.
Exactly. But if your mind is all over the place, if your emotions are all over the place, if your thoughts are all over the place, how can you get the highest form of information? You can't. That's where you end up falling into hearing something that there's no guarantee where that came from.
It's
So
interesting. It's interesting that you labeled boring. You labeled this process as boring. I've heard that a lot, and I can relate because in our busy, busy, distractive, like you call monkey mind, we find that that is stimulating, and that is what's giving us some kind of pleasure or guidance. And it's really in the silent moments that someone might call as boring because we're not doing,
exactly.
we're not getting, we're not accomplishing, we're not whatever. Is it really boring? Or is it a place of, and again, people say find the beauty in the boring because that's the best way to label it in this
That
world that we live in. That is the absolute best way to label it.
it's boring to the ego.
Yes, that's it. You said it perfectly. Boring to the ego.
Boring to the ego because the ego likes to constantly be doing, and it's a very old part of our brain. It's like the reptilian brain part of the brain, the limbic, I think it's called the limbic system. Um, but it's only boring at the beginning. Like even if somebody has never meditated and they say today I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes, and you follow your breath and you follow your breath. So maybe the first 10 minutes you're going to be like, ugh, all of these thoughts coming through. And so people get lost and frustrated, disappointed because they think that their mind needs to be clear, and it doesn't. So, in fact, when the thoughts come in, that's actually really good as long as you at some point recognize, oh, wait, that's a thought. I'm going to go back to my breath. The moment of the recognition, the moment of recognition, that's that's the burpee. That's what actually grows your capacity to focus.
And it's
You know,
reps, like getting your reps in. You have to
it's
continue.
getting in reps
Oh.
happens for a certain, it's different for everyone, of course, like maybe the first 10 minutes, and then you drop into this stillness, and it's almost like this. I kind of see like this light that's like a string, and then I focus on that, and then I'm like, oh, this is so good. This feels good.
But you're also, if we could scientifically break that down, you're tapping into what's called the alpha brainwave state. Beta is when we're just focused on all these colors, all these things. And then alpha is when we're able to just kind of tap into our subconscious. I've two processes. One that I learned again from Christine Lang is, part of that process when you're breathing, and you could use any type of visual. In this case, you use a snowplow, and just
Hmm.
visualize a snowplow, just snow plowing, pushing it to side, and just keep doing it slowly and softly. And if you find it boring, great, you're where you need to be. Second process. And, I don't know if you've ever been around any type of person that's done hypnosis. They'll always say, look up at the sky, look up at the ceiling, look up at the highest point. And we do this thing where we roll our eyes backwards and you feel a strain. It's the same thing that you do when you're falling asleep. We sleep in our eye. You ever watched your kids when they were young and you just see the whites of their eyes rolling back while they're sleeping? And same thing we do. That's actually activating, slowing down your brain, putting you into an alpha brainwave state where you're dropping into. And so if you could just practice that kind of, and I saw Oprah Winfrey do that, Dr. Oz, or no, actually it was Brian Weiss who does all the past life regression. And they said, okay, Oprah, roll your eyes backwards. And if you start flickering like that, oh, you're easily going to able to drop into that state. So just some practical practices that can help you drop into that state too. Do you have any other ones that you'd like to share?
Um, Practical practices. Well, sitting down. I mean, some of the other practices, honestly, are just rituals that have been handed down to me that
Can you share a few?
yeah, let me think. Okay, so practical practice is before I even go into my meditation, I light two candles. We are made out of the four elements. So it's like acknowledging the four elements within me and in my space. So before I do anything, I set what I call sacred space. So I have rituals that allow me to consciously use my thoughts, my words, my intention to set a sacred space and these rituals have been passed down for over 3,000 years from teacher to student. So they carry a certain force. Like metaphysically, if somebody like this is going to happen really soon because the quantum science is growing so fast, right? But I think I always imagine someone saying, let me measure the energy before she does this and then the energy after. So I create a sacred space. I light my candles. I know that I light incense because,
What's your favorite incense?
well, I use Nag Champa. I also use Palo Santo for different things. Sage is something that can really ground you back into like reality.
Yeah.
It's
The
good.
sense that you're smelling, you're feeling, you're seeing the smoke. I mean, it's
So thinking of like what some tangible things that you can do. There's a lot of science behind the smelling and like activating that sense and how that informs your brain and how that allows you to meditate with more ease. So, So that's a really practical thing to do when I sit down. I've set my sacred space. I've said certain prayers. You can even think of them as affirmations. Um, and then I light my incense and I allow myself to take it in. Another practice that I love is it's similar to the non-active meditation, um, kind of more passive meditation, is just kind of focusing on the energy on my spirit, on the energy around me instead of in me. So I start focusing in either like the sky or just imagining. I do use a little imagination, imagining my soul, my spirit, and just focusing on that. And if I can focus on that and I can focus on it getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it covers my whole house. Now I'm actually watching, planet Earth. I'm surrounding the planet. Like it really gets you out of your body and into your energy and into a really relaxed state. I think it's a little more advanced for some people.
No, but I love that you said that because, people are so me, me, me. But when you do the outer, the world, your house, your neighborhood, your plant, all of this healing energy is not, it's not selfish. It's not about me. It's about transmuting myself so that my energy is connecting to other people who are doing the same thing. And it's a healing process for the whole planet and the universe.
It really is. I mean, it's the opposite of
Right.
just being focused. Because if you think of like the word selfish, right? It's really people associate the self with the body. And what does my body need to survive? What does my body need right now to XYZ? Again, that's the ego driving everything. But when you're really focusing your attention onto your energy and who you really are and getting into that state, you're really acknowledging your oneness with everything and everyone. And I think more and more people are waking up to that now. And the more we all wake up to that, I think that's when the world changes. I think that's when we all shift. So yeah, so there's the stress. We go through life collecting energy, stress. There's a lot of it comes from our body, a lot of it comes from the things that we eat, from the things that we are going through, from our thoughts, from our emotions, things that are stuck in the past. And some of it also comes from like epigenetics, like just like inherited things. I read this book. I'm going to come back to this, but I read this book real quick that this psychologist from NYU proved that when a parent is, or when a mother is spiritual, her kids have a 30% chance of inheriting that as a gene.
Oh,
Like
a gene.
a gene, like genetically passing that along.
I never
And
heard that before. That's fascinating.
I mean, and she scientifically proved it. Like there is a 30% chance of passing on that becomes spirituality because
Well, when you say spirituality, the 30% gene of spiritual, can you define that a little more? Spirituality.
believing in something else, like whether it's some people are religious, some people are see more and think more of a universal mind, but they're connected to something else
Connected to some source. Yeah.
that source, regardless of what they call it, right? And they have some sort of practice they that they follow. So anyways, I thought that it was fascinating that she came to that conclusion of the things that we do, we pass those on as
Wow.
well. And it kind of made sense to me from the perspective of like seeing my kids and their DNA is connected to my DNA. And then we live together and that informs everything. So going back to the stress, we're collecting all kinds of stresses on us from the things we eat, the things we think, the things we feel,
The people that touch us and, like,
the people we are around, the way our, even like the house that you live in, the things you inherited from your lineage, like all of that adds up. And so we are always collecting stress, which is why in my lineage and like my teacher and what he teaches is it's we're always cleaning our energy. We're always, it's not just the West is very much about just the mind. The mind is only one part of it, you know? And once we clear and get in quote unquote control of the mind, like we manifest from our mind, but there's also things that impact the mind that are energies outside of just the mind that are everywhere, right? So yes, I think Dr. Joe, I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think it's so true. Like,
there's so many things that we just don't even know. And there's things that we just have to accept, and some things we just have to tap into and just feel. I took I thought this was quite kind of funny. I took a class on Mind Valley with Jeffrey Allen. He has this duality program, and it has all to do with learning about your energy, tapping into your highest self, cleansing your energy. And he had this practice, just like taking a shower. He said, make sure that you let go of any energy that doesn't serve you. And I do this every day. Let go of any energy that doesn't serve you and bring all your own energy back, because ours is attached. Bring it all back into you. And you can actually feel this sensation of filling up inside. And the funny part that he says, like, you have to do this daily. It's not like you can take this amazing shower and it's the best shower that you ever took and you never have to take another shower again. It's got to be part of your daily practices.
that is 100%. I mean, yes, 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 yes. And that's one of the reasons why I have so many daily practices that I stick to, even when I don't feel good and I don't feel like doing them. I do it more in those moments because you're also exercising your will, your will, and our will as human beings is it is the biggest gift that we've been given.
Right. I believe that because we always say, is there just destiny? Are we just supposed to be this way? I mean, am I psychic, or was that already happening and I just tapped into a part of my future? And I'm big into astrology and things like that. And sometimes you read, your horoscope, or this is what's going to happen. And I don't believe 100% that has to like, that does not have to be your destiny. If it's something that you see or feel or know, or it's some like genetically predisposition to this health issue that my body and my generational, everybody's had, that does not have to be your destiny. You can change that. You can go into that, change it, and ask for what you want so that you can live in this beautiful, abundant, peaceful, healthy place that inspires and heals the rest of the world. We are not victims to whatever someone says that we're supposed to be. Or, if my trajectory is moving that direction, you can change that. You can 100% change it.
I believe that. And I think that here's what I think. I think that there is when someone is born, they are predisposed to have a specific kind of journey. And that journey is something that they agree to before they're even born. And that's because
But how it shows up, right?
yeah, so certain things were meant to happen, certain traumas. I think about my life now and I'm like, wow, this thing that happened to me at this part of my life had to happen to me. Like I needed that so that I could find this. Every single thing, we're basically walking the planet, rediscovering who we are. And if everything is handed to us in a silver platter, well, there's no reason for the ego to go and, figure things out, right? But so I do believe that everybody is walking their own journey, and you can call it destiny, you can call it whatever. I think I'm totally with you on the astrology thing. I love it. I think that there's so much we don't know, but it's so accurate. Like I read my chart and I'm like, this can't be like coincidence. It's just so accurate. Um, I think it's game over when somebody wakes up.
Yes.
I think you're predisposed to have a certain experience, but I think once you really go through the awakening and you decide to take the blue pill, like in the Matrix, I think that moment is the moment that you wake up and it's fair game and you can create whatever you want. You can say, "Oh, that's the movie I'm supposed to be in. Not today. I want to create this instead." Because we're gods and goddesses walking on the earth. Like we are creators, created in the image of the creator. So yeah, so you can be born with a destiny and follow the script until you say, I'm the director now.
I believe when we're born that we have all of these things that can happen. And so just as you said, we have to accept everything that's happened in our life. The creator, if we can accept the creator gave us this relationship so that I could wake up. It gave us this traumatic experience so that I can wake up. We've chose our parents so that they could give us these certain things so they could wake up. And the whole point is when and where do I wake up instead of saying, oh my God, this happened to me. No, it did happen to you, but why? And where are we going with it? And how can we let go of that? And what lesson, even as hard as it might be in the moment and as humbling or painful, the process, the letting go is the most beautiful experience because once you get onto the other side and peel away, then you have all of, oh wow, wait, hold on. All these great things can happen to me too? You mean I can have a healthy relationship? You mean I can be abundant? You mean I can run these businesses? You mean I can have children that are healthy? You mean that I can have this beautiful home? Whoa, wait, hold on. Yes, you can.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think you're 100% right. Like, yes, 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 yes. Like we have the capacity of creating whatever we want and pressing pause on, the thing that we are predestined to. I mean, I think that I'm a great example of that. Like I grew up, I have plenty of childhood traumas. I was really, really blessed with amazing parents who made a ton of mistakes and, whatever.
Well, we have well-intentioned parents that did the best that they could. In the moment we can finally learn that they were doing the best that they could and don't expect anything else to change, that's where we get triggered, right? Every time I'm like with a parent and I think that they're going to act differently than they have acted for the past 50 years, I'm setting myself up for triggered disappointment because just maybe they'll change this one time they're going to act different. They're not.
Bills. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, right? Like what we do internally to shift ourselves is going to impact the entire world. So when people wonder, like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? People think that it's a job, it's a career, you're supposed to write a book, you're supposed to heal the world. And really, you're not. Your purpose is to shed all the layers that are not you and to really become you. Because when everybody does that, everything changes. That is, you healing is your service to the world, your service to your family, your service to your children. It's you becoming a conscious, living, divine being.
Ooh.
That's the purpose.
Well, on that note, I think we can wrap it up. What a beautiful, enlightened conversation that I've just had with Mariel Alvarado, the Business Alchemist. Mariel, for those listening, where can we find you? Where can they connect? Where can they find about their archetypes?
Yes, you can go to my website, marielalvarado.com. We have some gifts in there where you can take your branding with archetypes assessment test. You can find out what archetypes are also running your bank account. And I think there's also a gift in there for anyone that wants to start manifesting without the mask. So there's a 3-day free challenge in there to start manifesting from who you really are instead of like your ego and your unhealed parts.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful conversation with my beautiful friend of 20 plus years. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so honored to have you today. And for all of you listening, if you love and adore these types of conversations, make sure you subscribe, leave us a comment below, give us a great review. And until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie.